This is the Rutland Town Planning Commission, and it's January 25th. Let's start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you would. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Let's start with approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Thanks, Jerry.
I'll second it.
Or
I
is there,
just had
Barbara?
one addition.
Yeah, go ahead, Norman.
yeah. Norm, go ahead.
Well, under minutes, I think we ought to, if we have the right people, add December 7th, 2023 from the last meeting when we,
Alas, we don't.
I'm sorry?
We don't have the right
All right.
people. We're missing Sherman and Andy.
Andy.
Yeah, Dana.
No, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that we don't have the quorum from the meeting on the 7th of December. We need all four of us. That's Jerry, myself, Sherman and Andy, in order for those minutes to be properly voted to accept.
Well, Bill and I will remember to get it on the agenda next time, and we'll cross our fingers so we get the right combination of people.
Yep.
I guess the fallback plan is to change maybe our rules of procedure, but I'm not sure we're in that position yet. But let's look at the agenda as it stands written out. We've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. No one in attendance here for public comment. We can also skip over new business and go down to old business. We talked the last time about the new state program that's promoting housing and getting developers online. The survey was supposed to be out. That's coming through the Rutland Regional Planning Commission. I haven't seen it yet, but there were some changes to the survey that we looked at the last time. So I think it'd be pretty effective. The question would be how much the word gets out about that survey, because I think the planner is just thinking about the town Facebook page, front porch forum, and then just putting it around town. So be on the lookout for that, and talk it up if you would. That will give us some material to work with later about the sites and such that come out of it.
Are they open to other suggestions for circulation?
Yeah, I think so. It's
About
a
the
young
webpage- how about the
planner.
Town's webpage.
Yeah, well, that's been mentioned, and I asked the planner to get in touch with Bill about that. Yeah. So that's really all that is. I also put on your desk another survey. And if Mary Beth and Dana, if you need these, this is just a card. This is it's a pretty interesting Regional Planning Commission survey. It's for the new regional plan. It's a pretty extensive survey. It's kind of fun to take. So, and then there's a chance to win a outdoor stove, one of those solo stove bonfires. But the cards are around town. If you need the link, there's a QR code, and there's a website, an online site for the survey. It asks all kinds of planning type questions.
So Barbara, can that
Whether-
be just accessed from the Rutland Regional Planning Commission website too?
I think so.
Okay.
Yes, definitely that. I was thinking of the housing one. Definitely the regional plan one. Yes. It's pretty prominent. Good question. Okay, outreach to commercial business property owners in the river corridor. I'm going to preface this by saying at our next meeting on the 15th, we're going to have a presentation. It's by some people from the state, Vermont Land Trust, and the Lake Champlain Basin Program. They put together a presentation for Rutland Town to use as sort of a model that they might take around the state. So we'll have that. I've invited the select board. I'll remind them of that. So it should give us some pretty good information about river corridors and how best to present them to the public. So I'm looking forward to that.
Will they all be here? Will the presenters be here live or?
Now I think they'll all be on Zoom. Yeah, because they're coming from all over the state, north and mostly north. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure there'll be time for questions. I know you like that in-person type thing, Norm.
So Barbara, is that the meeting on the 15th? Do I have that date right? February 15th?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, do we want to extend the invitation to people around town for that presentation?
I don't see why not. I
Or
mean, it's a
just-
presentation of the, to the planning commission, and I think we can just not let them know that, we're getting ready for our own, meeting with the public, and if the public would like to come and hear more from the state experts, we'd welcome their attendance.
Yeah, I guess we can get that on the Facebook site.
Okay.
Oh, we've missed the circle. I'm not sure, maybe Front Porch Forum as well. Okay.
How big a job would it be to mail notice to the, is there 50 or so owners?
Well, it may not, I don't know what's in the presentation. And those people will not be able to answer their specific questions about Rutland Town. They may not even be able to answer where the river corridors are, in that specific. If those people show up, if they have a general interest in this, I think that would fit better with the presentation.
So it's not property specific yet.
Yeah.
No, it's mostly an educational meeting, correct, Barbara?
Yeah. And yeah, I hope some of the select board attend as well. So I was thinking what would be more specific would be the letter that I started that I think we can add to after the presentation. We'll have other things we can add to the letter. If that sounds good with everybody. Just general thoughts, perceptions about the draft that I sent out yesterday, kind of last minute.
I didn't get it.
Oh,
If you did, I missed
An
it.
email from Barb.
I'm sorry.
You got it right there.
Okay, thank you.
so yeah, so since if you have some general thoughts this evening, that's fine. I think, we should definitely wait until after the presentation to do much with this letter.
Barbara, I thought it was a great overview, and it focused on inviting people to learn more, and it was an invitation to come and share ideas and also to participate in a meaningful way. So I don't know, it seemed fairly succinct, but yet to the point and inviting. So overall, I thought she did a great job.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably be the most effective thing with the landowners is for us to meet with them. To us know as much as we can about river corridors and what the ordinance has in it. That's another thing that won't be in the presentation, that it's all based around a proposed ordinance. they're going to be talking about, the benefits of river corridors and the science of it and that sort of thing, just to get that in our heads.
Well, you mentioned a little bit of that in your letter, if I'm not mistaken, one of those paragraphs.
Yeah.
And we could elaborate on that if we feel that it's necessary after listening to the presentation. And certainly we can take feedback from the folks who come to attend as members of the public. They might give us some ideas of things that we would want to incorporate to encourage more participation, whether it's from businesses or individuals. But I think the first, we're taking this in two steps. We're doing the business one first, and I think that would be a good dry run for presenting to individual landowners who may have specific questions that we would have to address separately. So I don't know. I think it's going in the right direction.
Okay. And we'll probably use some sort of a service to send these letters out. We've got the addresses, we've got the names of the owners. Some are here and some are out of state. Unless you guys really want to fold the letters, put them in envelopes and stamp them. Unless you not hearing a lot there. Okay.
What?
Well, if we have a budget that allows us to pay a small fee for somebody else to do it, I would advocate for that.
I haven't checked the budget recently, but I think it's probably okay.
This is going to be for everybody, business and residential.
Well, we'll probably do 2 cycles. One and have a meeting with each of those cycles. We'll meet with the business people first. And
There's not that many business.
no, like 16, I think, something like that. Right. So, I mean, I think that could be a fairly good conversation, even if only a few show up. And then we'll do it over the same thing, with the private landowners. So I think they'll have different kinds of questions and concerns. And, my hope is that we find some business owners who can advocate for this, who see it, who understand that, it could cost them money not to do this, and that they might be able to convince others in the town. I don't know. Any other comments about the letter or this process? So that would be on the 15th. Yeah, Mary Beth.
Letter, I thought the letter looked good. I guess this might be changing the topic a little bit. Sorry about the dog. Have you guys heard of the proposed state legislation that is addressing river corridors and floodplains and wetlands? I think it's Bill 213.
House or
And,
Senate? House.
In the Senate.
Okay.
I've been more watching the wetland side of things, but I know that they address river corridors. I was just wondering if you were familiar with it and if it might have effects to whether towns need river corridor
The only thing I've heard, the only thing I've heard so far, and I don't know if it's House 213, is that the state is somewhat frustrated by the slowness of towns adopting these river corridors for obvious reasons. So it wants to jumpstart that and maybe make this mandatory. That's one bill but I'm not sure it's this one.
Don't you think if you take away somebody's portion of somebody's property, even though it might be beneficial, but you're not dropping their taxes, that there's going to be people pissed off? I mean, what is the obvious things? I see that people are going to have a benefit if there's a flood event. And I think most logical people will see that. I get it. Most people will see that. But for the state to just say, we're going to limit what you can do on your property that you pay taxes on seems problematic to me. I might be wrong, but that would be the first thing if somebody said to me, I want to come to the meeting, sit down and hear people explain why that benefit is really going to be good. If you're going to continue to tax me the same amount, but you're going to take something away from me.
Mhm.
So, you know, it just doesn't surprise me that the state now is upset that they're not able to do this. So they're going to shove it
Yeah.
even further down people's throats.
It doesn't, the river corridors, as we're looking at it through an ordinance, doesn't prohibit all uses of that
Again,
land.
and I understand it, but I could see where if that was my property, I might be a little bit concerned that the ability for me to use a portion of it may be limited. Therefore, what's the town going to do for me, or the state going to do for me? That's all.
Yeah, because
Maybe people will come in and totally understand it and totally get it and be all for it. Maybe that's going to be the route that it goes, but I don't know.
because it will include things like excavation and things like that as well, or using it to put fill, maybe from somewhere else. I think that's prohibited under this. So,
Yeah, if they can't use part of their property, you're right, Jerry. I think I'd come in and I'd grieve it and I want my assessment reduced.
Right.
Right,
That's
yeah.
how I would be worried about.
If it's property that we're taking the rights away from them, so they can't utilize it or do what they want to do with it. It's,
yeah.
there's ways of handling it, and that's certainly one of them. There's be to assess it properly. But
Yeah, I mean, it's, in most places, it's not a very wide corridor. It is around Otter Creek, but that goes like, it's crazy anyway.
But you can see what we're saying, though, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
If it means my taxes are, since the state's talking about doing a double-digit increase anyway, if it's about my taxes and it's going to go down $200 a year. So I'm just saying, I think people are going to see that side as much as they see the beneficial side as well.
Right. And another way of looking at it is, the insurance liability. And
Maybe they would
Yeah.
offset.
you
Time
know,
will tell, right?
mhm. It's not going in the right direction. All these
No, neither.
storms, jeez.
Well, it would seem that the storms may make a case for it,
Yeah.
or at least give very recent, depending on each property and how it was impacted by
Right.
the weather, may present a better case than anything else we do.
Yeah. I mean, I know some,
It's touchy. I mean, exactly what Jerry and Howard said, it seems to be right on, as we would say in a courtroom, right on point. And but
if,
what's the town gonna, what are the select boards gonna say if 30 people come in and over time and say, look, I can't use this much, my assessment,
Yeah.
the value has gone down.
and we haven't seen much flooding, and Rutland Town, if you look at it, I mean, you look at the river areas, they're not steep, they're kind of flat, and it looks like there is room for the flooding. There aren't too many structures out there. So there is that argument, but I know there are towns, especially the ones right below steep slopes and mountains, that, they're just getting hammered by these heavy storms and the volume of water coming down and the mudslides and all that kind of stuff. So that's not the case in Rutland Town, but we don't have, the mountains are pretty close. And that when the water starts running down, as we've seen now a couple of times.
Well, I had to leave my house over the summer,
Yeah.
my place, because the water was within 5 feet. So and that may make the case in some situations if people had to evacuate
Right.
as a safety measure or because they got flooded. So it's it's like anything else, there are two sides and they're to it, and just have to see how it goes.
So we'll let this play out. I mean, if the legislature is looking at, requiring it anyway, maybe we'll have a head start on looking at it, understanding it, answering questions, debating it. Take it a step at a time.
I can send it to you. I have a PDF of what they're looking at right now. But it talks about how the state would then regulate the river corridors instead of towns, and the same with floodplains they went through. So I'm just saying, if that does go through, then, we probably wouldn't need an ordinance, because it wouldn't be the town,
Right.
but at least that's what it looks
Right.
like it's saying, but I can send it to you
And when
guys.
I'm saying Mary Beth is having this discussion, this conversation, is beneficial either way.
Oh,
right?
yeah. You
Can
Yeah.
be. If it
Yeah, as
turns
long
out
as the
right.
focus is on educating people about what it is, that's really
Mhm.
it. And I think that we should do our best to mitigate the effects of people thinking that something's being rammed down their throat, because that's half the battle. If you express your concern for them and the joint effort of trying to do this because it would benefit everybody and it could bring in additional monies to the town, which would then, save on taxes that way in terms of not having to, increase to possibly cover certain expenses. I mean, that's always, that's the angle I would take. And I think Jerry's right. If people see that there's something in it for them and that they have a benefit financially, then it may open more people up to being amenable to making that commitment. Who knows?
And I think both these audiences are going to be tough audiences. They're going to be tough sells. Yeah.
But we just go in with it with the notion that it's informative and we're trying to be education oriented. So see where it goes.
Yeah. Mary Beth, I'll try to keep an eye on this too, but if you could too, and let me know if there's any developments or anything that we could connect what we're doing with what the legislature is talking about.
Sure, yeah, and I think they have a pretty quick timeline. Like they said, in like 2 weeks.
Wow.
So we might know even before we, have our meeting whether it actually went through or not. But yeah, I'll keep you updated.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. It's starting in the Senate because if it passes there, it probably will pass the House, given the nature of political leanings and such, I guess.
Yeah, I think they were definitely talking a lot about this summer. So I think it was proposed like 2 years ago and never brought up. But I think now with the flooding fresh in everyone's minds, there's more support.
Yeah. Okay, so more on February 15th. Down to announcements. I did, so the Post Road Solar, remember that off Route 7?
Mhm.
They put all the paperwork into the state for a certificate of public good. There is still something hanging there. They haven't resolved the archaeological stuff yet. So the PUC, the Public Utility Commission, asked for an MOU between the developer and the state to do more research. Right now there's a buffer around the archaeological area. And we've heard about this. The state has brought up this site before and other developers have run into it. The solar developer actually wants to put panels, within that buffer area. So the MOU, the memorandum of understanding, is essentially a list of 6 stipulations that the developer has to pay for this, pretty robust archaeological review. Then they look at that. There's a prescribed mitigation process. How it can be mitigated if it looks like it can go through and use some of that buffer area, just what they can do and what they can't do. And of course, this is all at the developer's expense to come forth with this information. I don't know a timeline for this MOU. There must be one in here. Maybe I didn't see it. So as far as I know, the petition that the developer put in, the overall petition, is still sitting there, waiting for the results of this archaeological work. So like I said, the developer is thinking about putting panels there and going into the earth and, digging in, doing some excavation, minor stuff for panels, and that may or may not fly. Have you heard anything else about this project? Anyone else? But the town is still generally is supportive of the project. We never did ask for, payment in lieu of taxes or anything like that. But so there's that. Anything else for announcements? Okay. So we've got one set of minutes to look at this evening from January 4th.
Motion to approve the minutes of January 4th.
Thank
Second.
you. Okay. Any discussion? Okay, Norm?
I have two editorial suggestions. On page 2, under new business, state housing navigator program, paragraph 1. I just think it reads better if it says the state is working to identify lands appropriate, and then take out to develop housing on and put for housing development. And further down in the unnumbered paragraph at the bottom, the developer for the Post Road site has filed their petition. It doesn't make grammatical sense. It's a petition or his petition or its petition, either a or its, but not their, because developer singular. It's just wordsmithing.
Okay. So you want that as an amendment?
Yes, please.
Okay, is that agreeable to, I'm sorry, Jerry seconded. Dana, did you?
Yeah, yep, I'm fine.
Second that.
Will you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the amended minutes from January 4th, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, well, this is good timing for Bill and his son's basketball game. But is there anything else from the body for the record?
Not for me.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you.